Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. My name is Glen and today we have a midweek sales video for you. Now there are currently a fair few developers and publishers putting their games on sale, including some big names such as Capcom and Marvelous Exceed, and also some very good publishers such as Merge Games, Devolver Digital and THQ Nordic. So I've got 10 games here from a selection of those companies, as well as maybe a couple of others, so let's get started. The first game I want to highlight then is a game called Arigami Shadow Edition, which is published by Merge Games and is currently 50% off. This is a third-person stealth game which sees you playing as an assassin that can control the shadows, and you need to make your way around various environments, clearing out the enemies in order to progress. Mark reviewed this one for us and compared it in some ways to the old game Tenchu. If any of you have played that one, I'm sure you have. Whilst it's certainly not perfect, at this current price at 50% off, it is definitely a good deal, and it might just scratch any stealthy itch you may have. The next game is Ape Out by Devolver Digital, which is currently 50% off. Now this is a top-down smash 'em up, it's called on the Eshop blurb, in which you play the role of an ape trying to escape. It uses a very interesting minimalistic art style with buckets of blood and gore thrown in as well, and a quite catchy soundtrack to boot. The levels are procedurally generated, so just something to bear in mind. I know some people don't like that. And this is quite a high octane, blood pumping adventure, and again at this price, a very good deal. The next one is a game called Blossom Tales, which is currently 33% off. Now this has been on sale for a little while now, a couple of weeks, and I actually asked the question in our most recent sales video about 2 weeks ago now as to whether this one was worth picking up, and got an overwhelmingly positive response that it very much was. It's a love letter to 2D top-down Zelda games, especially A Link to the Past, and is still on sale for about another 9 or 10 days I believe. If the comments from our viewers and subscribers were anything to go by, then this one is absolutely worth picking up. Next up we have a Capcom release. This is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, which brings together the first 3 games in the series. Now when I do these sales videos, I do try to take into account the price of physical games, being a physical collector myself, and whether the digital sale price still gives value for money based on any potential physical copy that a game might have. The reason for picking this one is because this only received a physical release, I believe, in Japan, and therefore is that little more difficult to acquire physically. So at this current sale price of 34% off, it's a good chance to pick this one up if it's one that you've been holding back on. Next up then we have a game called Figment, which I reviewed a while ago now on the channel. Now Figment is a puzzle platform game with an interesting isometric view, reminds me at times of an MC Escher painting, as it almost has an optical illusion look to it, and it has a really quite beautiful aesthetic to it as well. The gameplay is fun and it's definitely a very solid pickup, and even more so now with its sale price of 50% off. The review will be on the channel for this game if you want to have a look, and in fact what I'll do is I will link to any reviews that we've done of games on this list and put them in the pinned comment for you. Next we have a bit of a nostalgic pick from me, I must be honest, but it's very rare that I'd get to talk about this game otherwise, and that's Sly Spy. Now I had this game back on the Commodore 64 back in the day. It was called Secret Agent I think over here in the UK, and it was great to see the arcade version come to the Switch a year or so ago now. It's currently 50% off. This is just on the American store unfortunately, and it's from the Johnny Turbo arcade range, and in fact a lot of their games are on sale. I suppose you'd call Sly Spy a run and gun, but it's a slower paced one when compared to things like Contra, and it's much more in the vein of something like Rolling Thunder. It borrows very heavily from James Bond, like unashamedly so, but it really is a great game, and for this price I'd recommend it if you're interested in fun arcade games. The Hotline Miami collection is next, which bundles together both games in the series. I've only played the first one and I played that on the Vita, and they're very stylish and extremely gory shooters. Played from a top-down perspective and with a very psychedelic art style, you have to make your way into buildings and clear out all the enemies using a variety of weapons. In some respects it's almost like a puzzle game as well as a shooter, as you have to work out the optimum route through the building in order to be successful, and at this current price of 50% off, it might be the time to buy it if you haven't done so already. Next we have another Devolver Digital game, which is Katana Zero at 33% off. Now funny this coming straight after Hotline Miami, because in some respects the games share quite similar themes. This one is played from a side-on perspective, but has that same idea of trying to get through a stage, clearing enemies out, and having to be quite methodical at times in how you do it. Again, this was one that Mark reviewed and he enjoyed it very much. In fact, it was one of his picks on our favourite Switch games list that we did a few months ago. Despite being about an assassin, it has quite a heartwarming story about his friendship with a small child. And again, the link for the review will be in the pinned comment. The penultimate game on the list is a game called Carnie from Cubic Games, which has 60% off what is already a very fair price for this game. This is a high score chaser whereby you must defeat hordes of enemies using just a katana and a gun to try to chain together combos, but one hit and you die and must try it again. It's amazing how much fun this is and how long you can be playing it for without realising. In fact, at one point we had a bit of a high score competition going on our Discord for this game, and it was a great time. The final game for this video then is called The Count Lucanor, which again is from Merge Games and currently has quite a whopping 80% off. This is an action adventure game about a young boy called Hans and has an 8-bit art style which is really nicely done, and sees you leaving home only to enter a castle and be told if you can guess the name of the Count, you will become the new one and inherit the castle and all of the gold that comes with it. This will see you hiding from monsters and trying to solve certain puzzles to get the clues you need to be successful, and at this price it's definitely worth a pickup actually. I really enjoyed this one when I played it a while ago. So there we have 10 games from this current sale. Perhaps not as many big hitters as previous sales, but the publishers mentioned on this video are putting out games of a really good quality on the Switch, and it's just nice to highlight games like this sometimes. Please do let us know about any games you've picked up from this sale, or any that you would recommend to other people. Thank you as always to our Patreons for your continued support. If you would like to join them, the links will be in the description. And thank you to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.